Alright, good evening and welcome along to Business. Today I'm Jorum Paul Ssonko with Winnie and Nakawuki on sign language. The first, a look at our top stories.
In Business today, Uganda Development Bank and officials from Finance Ministry tasked to account for development loans, $158.5 million sought for 8 development partners. East Africa's dollar shortage poses worry as Uganda's 3.6-month dollar import cover hangs in balance in face of volatile international markets. India's investment projects in Uganda currently estimated at $464.5 million, growth expected in major sectors of agriculture, manufacturing and infrastructure.
All right, now let's turn our eyes to our Business Today reports. As we start with the Uganda Development Bank, which has been quizzed on loan performance. Members of the Committee on National Economy have tasked the Uganda Development Bank and officials from the Finance Ministry to clarify on performances of loans that were approved by Parliament for development initiatives. $158.5 million from 8 development partners has been underlined. Samla Hanifa reports.
Through these programs,
Government has, through Uganda Development Bank, availed financing for development projects, for instance in agriculture and agro-processing, manufacturing, among other areas, as observed with post-COVID recovery and business resilience. During the assessment of loan performance before the Committee on National Economy, UDB Managing Director Patricia Ojangoli affirmed that the bank has secured 15 lines of credit valued at $158.5 million from 8 multilateral development partners and that 77% of loans have been disbursed to 145 projects.
In 2009, we got support from BADEA, Arab Bank for Africa Economic Development, Arab Bank for Africa Economic Development under their private sector development program. This loan was $4.5 million and 96% of it was utilized.
Legislators were, however, unsatisfied with the presentation that hardly indicated beneficiaries of these loans and project particulars, as well as development impact upon implementation.
I think the people of Uganda, they are entitled to know who benefited from this money. The idea that we should not know them, those who benefited, I don't think it goes well with this committee. We must know the companies that benefited from these loans.
And why members are interested in those details is to help us understand how did these loans get to those people? Did it have impact? And I think these are very, very pertinent questions. You cannot just whitewash. I would really invite you to pay keen attention to these details so that we understand if borrowing in this country is making sense.
We want to know who benefited from this facility. Yes. And by the fact that you are trying to hide, we are suspicious. Yes. Chair, let's be transparent. This is not Standard Chartered Bank, it's not Centenary Bank, this is UDB.
In response, State Finance Minister Honorable Musasizi Henry told the committee that they were advised to avail first the list of beneficiaries to the Speaker before presentation to the committee, something that the members of the committee protested.
And the Speaker has guided that we present this list of beneficiaries to her and she will identify among you the people to look at it.
According to a section of legislators, it's no crime to reveal identities of all those who borrow taxpayers' money and that the committee is entitled to this information.
And refuse to give us information. Let her come in to tell us. We are entitled to this information, really. There is the Information Act. So if she wants to keep her information, let her even go back. For us, we go to another agency. In our report, we shall say, UDB appeared and refused to give us information concerning the people who benefited from their loan. This is government money we appropriate. It's not one of these private banks.
That is taxpayers' money. So that constitutes me and the rest of the Ugandans as contributors of capital to UDB.
UDB has momentarily been given more time to avail necessary information pertaining beneficiaries of quoted loans and exact projects' progress and performance, has all directly missed out in their report. Samlanifa, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
Figures that we know.
Away from that, let's turn our eyes to the Uganda-India investment growth. The current long-standing relationship between India and Uganda that's the weird memories of the economic war in 1972. Economic cooperation has overgrown with investments across major sectors amounting to $200 million as of 2020 and 228 investment projects that are worth $464.5 million in 2021 and currently an estimated $464.5 million. Martha Nimsima reports.
India's presence in Uganda dates back to the 1960s. Over time, cooperation between the two countries has transformed into formidable investment strategies. According to Uganda Investment Authority, 19,572 jobs were created out of 228 licensed Indian investments between 2016 and 2021. This, plus various foreign direct investments in agriculture, infrastructure, have spurred economic growth and still will be crucial, according to the State Minister for Trade.
Areas of focus is going to be in agribusiness, agriculture and agribusiness. They will be looking at manufacturing. As you know that we are focusing on value addition, and our 4 sectors of the growth of the economy being agribusiness, manufacturing, services. They're already in services, as you can see. If you just look, and I mentioned to you, Dr. Sudhir Pereira, you'll see that they're already into those sectors of the economy of providing services and ICT, and I did mention to you the Madhvani and among others who are already in manufacturing sector. So the major focus is to attract many more Luanas and the international community who believe and follow the Luanas to come and invest in Uganda, in Africa, but specifically in Uganda.
Uganda's economy is expected to expand with growth in investment. The total value of India's investment projects in Uganda is estimated to be $464.5 million across infrastructure, energy, agriculture, and health sector. Such is anticipated to spiral moving forward with export commodities such as coffee, tea, and tobacco to India and major imports in medicaments, textiles, and machinery.
India is the second source of country for the investments in Uganda. Between 2015 and 2020, UAE licensed 228 Indian investment projects valued at $464.5 million, accumulating nearly 20,000 jobs. Major areas of interest are manufacturing, agriculture, construction, healthcare, and real estate and education.
And the reason where Uganda was chosen was because it's a gateway to the Great Lakes of Africa. And now with part of the 7 countries of East Africa community, it is very centrally positioned to have investments sitting in Uganda, and they can try and export across all the East African community. And with the Africa Free Trade Zone also, which is has been signed and is almost going to be active very soon, it's a right time for us to encourage them to come and invest in our beautiful country, taking advantage of the EAC, the Great Lakes, and the Africa Free Trade Agreement.
The cordial relationship between Uganda and India is expected to be pivotal in realizing strategic investment and development goals as the country tends towards middle class and a money economy. Martha Nimsima, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at inflation and the dollar shortage impact. East Africa is currently grappling with a dollar shortage. Although Tanzania recently retorted the crisis, partner states such as Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda are on the alert. Uganda's 3.6-month dollar import cover, meanwhile, hangs in balance, especially in face of a volatile international market. Bronia Kadusine brings you more.
The Uganda shilling has experienced a downward spiral dating back from 2018, where the shilling depreciated against major currencies, including the US dollar and the British pound. This was attributed to different factors, among which was a growing trade deficit and a surge in imports. While in 2019, the shilling regained against the US dollar due to increased exports, a decline in imports, and a reduction in political uncertainty. It later depreciated in 2020 and 2021, especially due to the
COVID-19 pandemic's economic impact and has depreciated further between April 2022 to date against the dollar by 3%. According to the chairman of Development Associates Link International, Dr. Chisembo Clark, we ought to analyze the current trends and look out for both tangible and non-tangible consumables that attract foreign currency. Education, for example, would be a very good catalyst in attracting foreign exchange, especially where foreign students can pay in foreign currency like the dollar or pound.
When you produce what is of quality and what is on demand on the regional and international market, that earns us foreign currency. But also to do business in finished products, because when we trade in raw materials, at the end of the day, those raw materials come back as finished products and we spend. But if we can process and sell finished products, then we get foreign currency into the country.
Uganda experiences an imbalance in international transactions because of lack of substantial foreign reserves and over-reliance on imports that result into a low value of its currency, the foreign exchange market, and a low investment capacity.
Here we agreed that anything to do with the exchange markets, the forex markets, these are to be determined by the ariblo, the market itself. You can come in, you can go out. That's the first thing. Secondly, you decide what price you are going to charge for your dollars. And because the market has a number of players, as you know, they are the banks, they are the forex bureau, even Bank of Uganda, all of them is one market in the forex. Now, this enables the setting up and regulation of the prices at which we can exchange money, dollar for shilling and shillings for dollar. Now, that alone is a motivator for people who want to invest in the business of forex.
The limited supply of foreign currency affects Uganda's investment environment, triggers a price rise, and undermines direct foreign investment in the country, a trend that affects economic expansion and growth.
When you have access to foreign currency, when you're doing business, it's like you have gold. You hold an upper hand because this foreign currency can enable you even to trade in any market. You can trade on the stock market. You can be able to lend out the foreign currency to those countries that need it.
Of the policies that we have, the support conducive investment policies that we have in the country, which include a liberal foreign exchange market, as well as the ability for investors to be able to expatriate their profits.
In order to boost the foreign currency reserves, government should enact favorable policies that promote economic growth and attract direct foreign investment. Bronya Katsime, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, we talk the Uganda National Roads Authority, which has taken over the Electoral Commission property. UNRA has taken up former Electoral Commission property. The area which has been housing the commission in said office will now be decommissioned to pave way for construction of the second phase of the Kampala flyover and major upgrades. Over 23 billion shillings has been channeled by the Ministry of Works and Transport to compensate this commission. Naomi Mutumba reports.
So today we are here with the team from UNRA to hand over the said premises for to enable the works of the Kampala flyover project to proceed.
According to the Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Mujenbyabakama, compensation for the 1 hectare piece of land formerly housing the Commission's headquarters has been agreed on. Over 23 billion shillings has been paid to ensure decommissioning and relocation, creating space for the Kampala flyover project.
Following the government valuers report, which gave a value of this property to about 23 billion, Uganda National Road Authority has already compensated the Electoral Commission for that amount, and we have nothing we are claiming from the authority. So this property, as we speak, legally belongs to Uganda National Road Authority, and is now ready for them to do whatever they wish in line with the project, the said project.
Uganda National Roads Authority is set to demolish the facility and give room to city infrastructure development, as evidenced in the ongoing flyover construction and road upgrade project. According to Lawrence Pario, the project contract manager, the space shall house Lot 2 developments containing drainage channels and traffic pathways.
Lot 2 is going to span over this area. Because we didn't have access to land, we could not be able to commence the works. But in brief, what is entailed in Lot 2? Under Lot 2, we are going to widen roads here along this corridor. We are even going to construct bus rapid transit routes. So the roads are going to be widened and they'll be signalized, and it's going to improve the efficiency of flow of traffic.
As Kampala pushes towards integrated transport infrastructure, linking road and railway, mega funding is expected. Contractors have thus expressed need for extra support from stakeholders and pursue timely completion.
So we need additional money because we were interfacing with the standard gauge railway at a higher point. We had to change the design of this lot, Lot 2. And the design will need additional 200 million USD to accomplish because it's much more complex.
In 2010, Japan International Corporation commissioned a study that was later updated in 2013 and 2014 to examine available options for alleviating chronic traffic congestion in Greater Kampala metropolitan area. Government accepted the recommendation of the study, and through Uganda National Roads Authority, Kampala Flyover Road project has taken shape. Naomi Mtumba, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at the fund consumption and insurance. The public has been urged to adopt proper budgeting and fit into the right risk management framework. This will help capitalize on the wide stream of evolving insurance products tailored to market changes to achieve risk cover for businesses, health, among other risks. Pedison Mumbere has details.
Much as Ugandans are struggling to save, financial experts believe that they should adopt to risk management strategies to avoid development setbacks. The head of marketing at UAP Insurance, Stephen Luvoa, urges that insurance covers a variety of additional risks like illness, accident. Therefore, people can have peace of mind while knowing that their businesses and future are all secured.
We can support in terms of assessing the risk. First of all, identifying the risk, assessing the risk, and also mitigating the risk, so that you can be able to make a decision how to mitigate it, how to transfer it, or how you can be able to absorb that risk. So it is important at an individual level to have an insurance policy to take care of unexpected eventualities like death.
Financial risk management helps to identify potential risks and enables one to implement strategies to mitigate those risks while limiting the exposure to financial losses.
Look, there is this uncertainty that may come, but in the event that it does come, your financial status or welfare should not be cut. And that is what the kind of information we are giving to the public is all about. Telling people it is very, very important to think about uncertainties in the event that something happens. So yes, it's good to invest, it's good to think long term. However, get that insurance cover that will help maintain your standard of living in the event that something happened to you.
In today's uncertain world, insurance has become a crucial tool for managing risks and protecting oneself from potential financial losses. Zach Chisesi, the head of Alternative Channels, therefore says that it's very important to invest where there is a regulator.
That in the beginning, as you think about where you'd want to invest your money, invest one where there's a regulator. Because the beauty with the regulator is that they will protect you against Ponzi schemes, get-rich-quick schemes. The regulator, for example, in my case, it's Capital Markets Authority and UBRA, Uganda Retirement-Based Regulatory Authority.
It is very clear that financial inclusion cannot be achieved if the risk element has not been taken care of. Because at the end of the day, we realize that we as individuals, we tend to think that when we save without looking at the risk, and it becomes very hard because whatever we have saved can easily be wiped away by just a mere occurrence of a risk. For example, passing on of a breadwinner.
By creating a budget, saving for emergencies and having insurance as a form of risk management, individuals can protect themselves against unexpected financial losses. That's why financial experts have engaged media personalities to amplify insurance awareness. Pedson Mumbere, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's talk matters environmental penalties. As NEMA is determined to oversee environmental protection following guidelines and penalties that will be operational effective the first next month. These fines, rising to the tune of 6 million and sentences of up to 15 years, are all awaiting those in breach. Samuel Kirimunda gathered the report.
Despite power vested in national environment policy, environmental conservation has largely been affected, as illustrated with the growing human activity that has in turn frustrated sustainable utilization of the ecosystem in light of the growing waste burden and pollution load. NEMA Deputy Spokesperson Tony Achdria says there is urgent need to provide for safe disposal of solid waste generated by urban residents and businesses.
When it trickles down to the individual or to entity level, the law is that the person who generates waste is responsible for it. So if you generate waste in your premise, let's say at your home, you are responsible for that waste. Now, being responsible for the waste means you have to make sure that the waste is disposed of in the right manner. Okay, either you can have a licensed waste handler to be able to come and pick the waste from your home, or if you are able to set up a system where the waste can be disposed of within your premise. Okay, now still in that same light, waste generated, for example, from a commercial building, it is the owner of that commercial building who is responsible for that waste. So if you have, for example, an arcade somewhere in town, but that arcade is generating waste and there is nowhere to eventually put that waste, the owner is responsible.
The man has to be with his dustbin on his motorcycle. I don't see, I would say, okay, the idea would be okay.
According to the guidelines previously outlined by Uganda Police Force, motorists shall be required to own rubbish bins, while individuals and organizations will be expected to have gazetted places for garbage disposal. Breach of such shall attract a fine of 6 million shillings or face a jail term for at least 15 years.
Buli kimu kyonna ekibalukawo mu Kampala oba mu tawuni zonna ezisinga bakireetera mu baboda.
Boda riders, we work in difficult situation. They need a lot from us. If you say that bodas should move with dustbins, then you are chasing us. But the idea is good, though it needs more preparation.
You find our environment, streets, roads, gardens, compounds, drainages are all plagued with litter, where you find pedestrians, revelers who go for parties, motorists dropping
litter, and then others who leave, drop and throw around their litter on along the roads. So the public should know that littering an environment is a crime, and there are laws which exist that are supposed to help keep our country clean. Our police in all jurisdictions has teamed up with the National Environment Management Authority together with other stakeholders to continue with expansive awareness drives as they count down towards the enforcement of the laws and regulations on littering and noise pollution take effect on the 1st of April 2023.
NEMA is still concerned about Kampala's pollution and waste load, with over 150 tons generated daily, posing a big threat to both humans and environment. The express penalty scheme is expected to deter non-compliance to environmental management in accordance with Section 172 of the National Environmental Act.
And you look at Section 172, that is where we derive this administrative penalty scheme from. Now, the thinking behind this is that when someone or an entity is found to have committed an environment breach, for example, littering, for example, if you have started a project without doing an EIA, if you have not done an environment audit, noise pollution, and the likes. Okay, we come up with a fine that you are required to pay. Okay, now the reason for the fine is to have a speedy preventive measure.
With landfills such as Chichezi's choking garbage, the city's hope lies in change in human approach towards waste disposal and management, plus the effectiveness of its policies. Samuel Chirumunda, Masikatsime for Smart24 TV Business Today.
And right now, Business Today does take a break. We return with more. Stick around.
Smart24, driving business.
Sulabira wa gano kimaka gakatemba amajja omukwano obulimba obujja byonna bisanga wano kati mweza remote abewuwo bakuŋŋaanye olunyumirwe katemba ku Pearl Magic Loco.
This is our home. Bonna mu Luganda Pearl Magic Loco eri ku mukutu namba 42 ku DSTV ate ku mukutu 315 ku GOTV. Pearl Magic Loco kuli ku ground. It's super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery. Phone battery full. Yeah, it's a super deal. Get the Kabode Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Kabode deal and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Kabode Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Bang Jerry con with muscle. Those ones who say go is for you only. Mundava. Best good business I teach you. But never come up with the squad. Because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? It's serious you. What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs. And you get your sugar. Will you buy milk from Umaru? And Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, wait. Jerry card.
Okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako, n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
Smart24 Driving Business.
Now, just recently, the President asserted to the Aquaculture and Fisheries Bill, transforming into law from the 24th to the 26th of this month. NARO and the Aquaculture Research and Development Center are to hold a 3-day expo to exhibit and adapt better fishing farming models for the sector. Mathani Msima had a sit-down with the center's program head, that is Namulawa Victoria, Namulawa Victoria Tibenda, to understand the center's initiative to transform the fish farming sector. Now we talk transforming fish farming in this.
Well, the National Agriculture Research Organization, together with Sleek Stars Limited, have set up a 3-day fish farming training session, mainly to increase fish production and to diversify aquaculture in Uganda. And with me is Dr. Namara Victoria. She is a senior research officer at NARO. She's going to be telling us more about aquaculture and the productivity in our country. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much. As you have well mentioned, we support from NARO, private sector in the names of Sleek Stars Systems Limited, is organizing a 3-day training and expo in fish farming. In Uganda, we locally know it as fish farming, but it's internationally known as aquaculture. That is the farming of animals in water under human control. The background of aquaculture or fish farming in this context is embedded in the fact that all over the world, fishery stocks are dwindling. Remember, conventionally, we have known that fish comes from the lakes and the rivers. But as populations grow and the demand for fish grows, the fish coming from the lakes and the rivers is no longer enough, because the populations are growing and the demand for fish is growing. There is a lot of urbanization, and so we have seen an increase in the number of fishermen, the number of boats, the number of nets on the lake. This translates into an increase in fishing effort. So we see a lot of fish harvested at a unit time compared to the amount of fish that can be regenerated by the lakes and the rivers. And this tantamounts in a reduction of fish populations. So the question is, what do we do in this situation when the fish catches are going down? Then the alternative comes, which is in the names of fish farming. So fish farming comes in as a way of growing fish under human control. And in this way, we see it as a way of increasing fish production.
So what is your fish production target? For example, this financial year?
It's not only this financial year, but government of Uganda has set a target of 1.7 million metric tons. 1.7 million metric tons, and that is by the year 2025 through to 2030. That is 1,700,000 metric tons for fisheries and aquaculture. It is expected that 700 metric tons will be coming through from fisheries, that is from the wild catches, and then the 1 million metric tons will be coming through from aquaculture. So that is the set target.
So how are you as NARO going to enable fish farmers reach that target?
As indicated before, NARO has a duty to undertake research in agriculture. And this context, fish farming is in the aquaculture context. In NARO, our main job is to generate technologies. And in this case, our job is to generate technologies that enable fish farming to go on. These technologies are in the area of improving the genetics of farmed fish and hatchery management, technologies in developing and managing feeds for farmed fish, technologies in controlling diseases in farmed fish, then technologies in production systems, that is in cages, ponds, and tanks. We also have areas of interest in socioeconomic aspects as far as aquaculture is concerned, together with adding value to farmed fish. So those are our main areas of entry as far as fish farming is concerned.
So well, as the information I've received from exactly NARO's research sector, the production of fish is reducing, there is scarcity. How is aquaculture going to help improve production of fish?
As I've made mention of where NARO is coming from, NARO's job is to generate technologies. But these technologies are supposed to be received by the farmers, because we as NARO, we are not the ones going to produce this tonnage of fish. We generate technologies which are supposed to be disseminated to farmers. And farmers, in their individual or communal production systems, they'll produce fish which will collectively contribute to the 1 million metric tons. But in the context of the expo that is being organized, we observe that the stakeholders or the farmers that we think are supposed to contribute to 1 million metric tons are short of information. They do not know how to produce the fish. They do not have the seed. They do not have the feed. They do not know which production systems to use. They don't know how to add value to the fish. There are challenges that farmers are facing. So in this case, we want to use this forum, the expo, to get the technologies that are residing with us at the research center and take them across to the farmers. We want research to enable the farmers to increase fish production, and that is especially residing in the theme of the expo, which looks at enabling stakeholders in the aquaculture value chain for increased fish production. And it's important to observe that we want to look at the different stakeholders because aquaculture is a value chain. When we talk about production, we look at people in the hatcheries who are producing the baby fish, the fry, and these are what are transferred to the people in the grow-out systems, the ponds and the tanks and the cages. Then when the fish is grown to table size, it has to be transported to the consumer. So we look at the transporter in that dimension. But before even we go there, we have to look at the systems that feed the fish. So we look at the people in the industry of producing fish feed. Are they producing feed of the right quality and quantity? Are we having raw materials for feed production? Are the raw materials available with us enough? Do we have alternatives to the conventional raw materials? And do we have challenges of importing raw materials? Or how can we do import substitution by using the raw materials that we have here in Uganda to make feed so that the feeds are cheaper and more accessible to the fish farmers, thereby enabling them to produce fish? Then when we come to enabling environment, we want to have a conversation with the policymakers to ensure that the fish farmers, the transporters, the dealers in fish farming are very clear with the policies that govern fish farming, fish trading of farmed fish, transporting of farmed fish. Do we have challenges with importing inputs that are important in fish farming? Can policy help to reduce this? Then when we move from there, we need to have a conversation with consumers. Do consumers need this fish to be presented in a certain way, to have it tasted in a certain way? So it is a whole value chain. And if we tackle each portion of the aquaculture value chain, sure enough, we shall be solving a lot of challenges that are hindering increased production through aquaculture. Thank you very much.
Well, this expo is looking towards enabling fish farmers to increase the production of fish, to learn more techniques, to adopt the innovation and the more strategies made by NARO and other partners. It is also looking forward to help us increase the value chain of fish production. Thank you.
Many thanks, Martha and Nimsima, for that particular insightful conversation. And now that brings us to the end of business today. But first, let's have a rewind of our top stories.
In business today, Uganda Development Bank and officials from Finance Ministry tasked to account for development loans, $158.5 million sold for 8 development partners. East Africa's dollar shortage poses worry as Uganda's 3.6-month dollar import cover hangs in balance in face of volatile international markets. India's investment projects in Uganda currently estimated at $464.5 million, growth expected in major sectors of agriculture, manufacturing and infrastructure.
Many thanks for being part of business today. It's a cold Tuesday, very cold, trust me. Jorum Paul Ssonko with Winnie and Nakawuki in sign language. All we wish you is a good evening and a good night for now, because apparently with this cold weather, do not make any mistake that you will not definitely account for at the end of the day. Till tomorrow, have a blessed night.